So Darius, like as a business owner, one of the biggest things you're constantly doing is making decisions. And as you should be, right? But there comes a time when you've made so many decisions, you're constantly analyzing things, you're thinking about every possible outcome that you just freeze. And that's one of the things we want to talk about in today's episode is how to break through that and what not to do to get stuck in this loop of constantly analyzing the situations.
Sounds good. Let's dive in.
Yeah. So with that, we're back, your neuroscience business coaches and hosts for the show. My name is Saad.
And my name is Darius, and we're here to give you the minimum effective dose to scale your business. And this is real life, real lessons learned in business as we scaled $30 million in less than 18 months. So this is not pie in the sky. This is actual stuff that business owners deal with and you as leaders deal with. And so that's what we want to talk about today. So I think really when it comes down to, you talk about, you make decisions. Part of that probably is that analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
So talk more about that.
Well, let's talk about like why this is something I want to talk about today, because been working with somebody and like coaching them and helping them out with the little things, and every 2 weeks they have a new idea. Every 2 weeks they're like, well, let's do this, and like anytime they start diving into it and looking at what that possibly could be and how to implement it into their business, they just freeze. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, all right, new idea. Let's go into the next thing. And there's that, obviously we've talked about the novelty of like the cool new idea.
Yes.
But a lot of those ideas typically require work.
Yeah.
Right. So as a business owner, one of the biggest things you're responsible for is making the decision and steering the ship.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly getting to a point where you have so many decisions that you need to make, but you're mentally just getting bogged down by the stress and the uncertainty and the unknown of all of those things, you'll just get stuck in a spot, and you'll be in a loop that you just can't ever get out of.
Yeah, interesting enough. So that reminds me of there's a video going around, and it's Jeff Bezos talking about in the early days where you talk about like the new idea, and I can't remember who it was, but someone said to him, is like, Jeff, you have enough ideas to bury Amazon, to kill Amazon. You have enough new ideas to kill Amazon. And so it's the idea is like, there's always a million different ideas, right? So you always you're making decisions on a million different things. You're always bombarded with a million different things. And there's always another great idea. Oh, I could do this. I could do that. And you have to make decisions on those, right? Is it worth it? Is it not? And like you said, the one you're coaching and working with, they get stuck in the loop of, oh, this thing, and then boop, oh, nothing. Start back. Oh, yeah. Let's stop.
Exactly. Yeah. And so obviously we like to talk about neuroscience and your biology along with that. And I know you probably have a lot of things that you can absolutely add to that. But one of the things I constantly find is like we've talked about this several times, and it's still,
and we will continue to.
Exactly. Because the thing is, like, everything keeps coming back to it. It's the cognitive load.
Yeah.
It's like, again, the computer example, like if you open up an idea browser and you just start adding several thousand different tabs to it, and each one is like a different possibility.
Yes.
Your brain is just going to slowly start bogging down, slowing down the process. Yeah. And then you naturally just can't do anything with that browser.
Yeah, there's, I think, two things at play there. One is absolutely cognitive load, right? But then that's like you said, you use up all the available RAM and you just bog it down. The other thing is you have too many open loops.
Yeah.
Nothing's closed. With all those open loops, right, that creates more cognitive load. So you're not closing anything off. You're just leaving all these open ends, and that just increases cognitive load more and more and more. Yeah. Especially if you're someone that likes to start something and not finish things, and then all those occupies more and more mental energy, escalates and really drives up cognitive load. So yeah, it comes down to cognitive load. And then that whole idea of analysis paralysis or paralysis by analysis, same thing, tomato, is that you get so overwhelmed with the amount of choices, and the other part, like the offset of that is the number of decisions you actually have to make in a daytime.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only that you have a huge amount of different things or options available in front of you to try to decide on, but it's also the sheer volume of decisions you make on a daily basis uses up kind of your daily allotment of mental energy to do that. So you're double whammy. It's just like, it makes it that much more complicated every time. And if you're not aware of that, like you'll just keep doing the same thing and thinking you can just power through. I just gotta work harder. I know what I gotta do. And you never do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just had a thought there and I completely lost it. Because again, it's the same thing where like, I gotta do something, but I just can't do it because I'm constantly thinking about the next thing I should be, doing.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of so I try to like think it through because I'm kind of losing my train of thought there.
Well, here, I'll let you do that.
Okay.
Just but I'll just talk about the next part of that. And I'll give you maybe a second to kind of like cycle through. So you can kind of turn your brain off for a second. I'll man the station for a moment. So we talk about, that it's that whole, there's so many options, analysis paralysis, which leads into like, it's a paradox of choice, where when we have so many options available to us, we actually have a harder time making a decision than when there are fewer. And that is kind of like the first world problems of things. So we have so much available to us. It's like going to a grocery store and you go to the bread section. Oh, I need a loaf of bread. Well, now there's about 80,000 different types of bread. So you're like, you're standing there like forever. Do I want like thin slice? Do I want Texas toast? Do I want rye bread? Do I want white bread? Do I want sourdough? Do I want,
and then you start thinking about the possibilities with each different type of bread.
Do I want, thick crust, Texas toast, ancient grains, and so as a result, it takes you so much longer versus if you pare that down and really only have a few choices, it's easier to make a decision. So the paradox of choice also is a complicating factor in all these, because when you start opening up those possibility tabs and every tab is a new possibility, right? You have now feels like a never ending or a non-winning game. You can't ever win at that. So it's like, the overwhelm starts to shoot up, and that's only because of cognitive load.
Yeah.
Like it always comes down to that. We have a finite amount of mental energy, and we do ourselves such an injustice. We deplete it so fast in so many ways, but we don't know how to turn it off and kind of recover from that.
Yeah. So I polished my thought.
There we go.
So what I was going to talk about was, so 2 weeks ago we talked about the idea of like the business owners not understanding what the constraint is that they're trying to solve, right? Yep. So trying to link that with this same situation. Like if your constraint is getting more leads and finding more opportunities for your business, or like improving for your clients, that's your problem. Now you need to solve that problem.
Yes.
If you start adding to our point, like 1,000 different solutions, like, well, hold on, let me redo my logo because that's gonna attract the clients better. Let me actually like change the messaging I send to them. Let me change my marketing technique. But the problem is like you can't actually solve their problem. So you're thinking about all these different things that are not gonna matter at the end of the day. And your goal should be like, what does my client need, and how can I solve that problem the quickest?
What is the right problem to be solving?
Yeah.
Right. So that happens at every level. So that is a great point, because it happens at the macro level. So what is the constraint? What is the actual constraint? Is it one of the 4 constraints? So do I have a lead constraint? So demand constraint. Do enough people know about me that I have enough demand on my product and service? Or do I have a sales constraint? I'm able to convert enough of those into ongoing business. Do I have a delivery constraint?
Yeah.
Am I able to meet that? Do I have quality issues? Am I have timing issues? Do I have enough demand that I'm struggling to meet that? And what are the issues there? Or do I have a profit constraint? Like, am I making enough money? Is my LTV to CAC high enough? Right? Or anything? Is my gross margin high enough? Am I getting enough cash flow? All those things, the time of cash flow. Like, what are the specific things? Like in a profitability scenario, it might be your cash flow is really tight, and that's because you're paying out cash faster than you're getting it in. So you need to have better terms so that your cash going out is slower than it's coming in, and you can build it faster to be able to do things. Whole host of, but like the first layer is what is that constraint? But then below that is what is the actual constraint within that constraint? What's the actual problem we're trying to solve?
Yeah.
So when we say solve the right problem, it happens at like every level. Is this actually the problem within this constraint? What's the leverage and the domino in that? Because like you said, if you're trying to solve all these other things that aren't related to the problem, you're solving the right problem the wrong way, or the wrong problem, right or wrong way, doesn't really matter, right? Exactly. At the end of the day, you're not solving the right problem. And so you're dividing your focus, right? Yeah. Another problem with that is the paradox of choice. You divide your focus. You're less effective in many different areas.
Yeah. And it comes down to like, so again, going back to us having finite ability to make decisions throughout the day. And if we add all of this like nonsense in there, you're depleting that a lot faster, and then it bleeds over into the next day, and then it also bleeds into the following day. So you have to like at some point just completely remove that and start from scratch. And what I'm finding that has been helping me a lot is the checklist. Yeah. Again, we've talked about like the right checklist and the wrong checklist. So here, this is where like I like to do a whole like, well, this is what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. This is a potential solution that I'm gonna implement. Let's see like what that takes and how quickly I can get to it. If it's as simple as like 4 different processes that I need to, if I only need to open up 4 different tabs, like how can I quickly wrap up all those 4 tabs so I can like see results?
Right. Or is it open up one tab, complete it, next tab, complete it, next tab, complete it, next tab, complete it. Yeah. I think the heart of that is really what you're talking about in kind of a roundabout fashion is like, what's the maximum amount of leverage that I can get to solve this problem?
Yes.
Right. Yep. Because I want to do the work once, fix it, and move on.
Yes.
Not 8,000 different things that may or may not. So you're going to the real heart of it is, and for those of you've been around, we talk about the scaling playbook. That is exactly it, right? We said, take it all back, strip it all down to nothing, start again. That's the reclaim all your energy. Stop doing stupid stuff. Stop doing the things that aren't helping you. Yeah. Right? Okay. Identify what the problem is, the real constraint. What is the domino? What's the one big thing in there which creates the leverage that makes that, which fixes that? Yeah. And so really all you're doing is taking that playbook and running it. Yeah. Over and over and over.
Exactly.
And what you've talked about in a way that is very applicable in a how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to add in there like quickly was so a lot of business owners end up making themselves the bottleneck on some decisions they don't need to be a part of. Right? Like how many times have we seen business owners like tell their administrators like it's like they'll tell their admins like, hey, run it by me what you're getting for lunch. Like, okay, could be important if you're getting like some, super high important person come by. But if it's like for a team lunch, don't tell me.
How could I solve that?
Yes.
Without me being involved. Here's my parameters for this, and this.
Exactly.
Okay, you have my guidelines, rock and roll. I've already made the decision in advance. As long as you follow those guidelines, you'll be fine.
Exactly.
Done.
Yeah. So, and that's
remove a roadblock.
That's the perfect segue of what I was about to say is that how do you create a system that requires you to be involved once and then runs without you, right? If you create these systems where you have to be involved in the final decision every single time for every single small and as minute that detail could be, you are, again, depleting your finite mental capacity to make.
You know what just came to mind with that is how am I complicit in creating the hell?
Yes.
That I say I don't want.
Yeah.
But I can create it based on those types of things, right? And I think like, because like a lot of different things just came to mind because I've lived it. Like I've been the bottleneck and I had to remove myself from the bottleneck. Like managing a lot of people, it's like, okay, I'm not being helpful because I am the bottleneck in these. Okay, here's the parameters. I only need to see, as long as it meets this, we're good. I just need a final checklist of, okay, we're good. Critical scenarios, here that is. Here's my guidelines, rock and roll. I only need to be involved in these. Otherwise, start to delegate authority of like, here it is. I think Dan Martell talks about like he's got a practice where he will assign, depending on what level you are, you get a set amount of money to just go solve the problem, right? So up to a certain point, you don't have to tell them. You can go just solve the problem up to a certain amount to like take on the initiative of how would I solve this. Yeah. But I think you can do that. You also have to increase your ability to recruit good people, right? And you have to still be able to coach people. So there's like, you can't just go out and be like, oh, I gave that person like $10,000 of authority to say, go solve the problem. Okay. But if they're not at the level or the aptitude to even, or the wherewithal or the coaching and the skill set to deal with that, like that's stupid. Yeah. So there's always some context involved in that. So I'm like, I'm very hesitant to say, yeah, just assign a money amount. Like that's very specific scenario. Like the framework of that, I completely agree with, because you're enabling people, you're giving them the ability to think through and how would I solve this? And here, by the way, I don't even need approval to spend up, but I'm going to have to justify that and why I did it. But I totally agree. Like you start with you removing yourself from the bottleneck of things to peel back a lot of your own energy.
Exactly.
Even at a very minimum.
Yeah.
Stop creating the hell that.
Stop enabling something that you keep complaining about every 2 days later. Yeah.
So if you had to boil down kind of like the main points of, so the whole just analysis paralysis, just the paradox of decisions, all those, or paradox of choice and decision fatigue, cognitive load, like what is the big takeaway? So if someone wants to say, what's the minimum effective dose here for that? Like what's the one big key takeaway I can walk away with and say, okay, cool, I can implement this tomorrow. Yeah.
So the one big key takeaway is like, go listen to the podcast from 2 weeks ago to figure out what your constraint is. I'm joking.
No, that's valid. I support that.
No, the one big key takeaway is like, again, like as a business owner, you need to, this is your job. Like it's not fun. It's not meant to be easy. It's not all fun and games. So you are going to get stuck in the days where, you have to constantly be making the decisions. So, from my perspective, I think the biggest key takeaway and like the minimum effective dose for today's podcast is just decoupling your problems. Take a moment to write down what it is that you're trying to solve. And this is why I was saying like the podcast from 2 weeks ago is like, figure out what it is that you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
what is the constraint?
What is your constraint? And when you figure that out, the decision-making portion of it just becomes easier.
Yeah. Perfect segue is in the next few weeks, we will be launching our actual, like, how do I figure out what my constraint is?
Yep.
So we're going to make that tool available absolutely free.
Yep.
And within 10 minutes, you'll know what your major constraint is.
Yeah.
Right. And specifically, we'll give you some key things to walk away with from that to be able to what to focus on.
Yeah.
And things you probably should be focusing on. Yeah. That worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
Completely unplanned. All right, everyone. So hopefully you got your minimum effective dose today. So identify what your major constraint is and stop trying to make decisions and decide things that are probably not helping you anyway and just draining your energy. And that's how you'll reduce your going into decision fatigue and analysis paralysis. Because when you know what the problem is, it's much easier to identify what to do about it.
Yep.
So we are your neuroscience business coaches here at BizMeds. My name is Darius.
And I'm Saad.
And we are here to continually give you the minimum effective dose to scale your business. If you've been with us since the beginning, thank you. If you just joined us, absolutely thank you. If you got a laugh, chuckle, you learned something, subscribe, share it. Someone, don't be a hoe, share the show. like Andy Frisella says. And if you are fortunate enough to be called our mothers, you're welcome. Thank you for watching and always supporting us. And with that, remember, you're just one day away from the life you always dreamed about. We're going to see you in the next episode.